Thank you so much, Catherine. Hi, everyone. So Jordan Addis, I'm a communications manager here at Avincis, she, her. Firstly, I would like to say thank you so much, Catherine, for providing us this platform to be able to share some of our incredible talent and our women for this Women in Aviation webinar. And again, thank you all so much for joining us. Hopefully IT's not failed me and you can see the presentation. So please give me a little thumbs up if that's showing for you all. Yep, great, perfect. So I'm just going to give you a quick introduction of why we're all here today. So we'll shortly be doing a little Mentimeter, so please have your camera phones at the ready to scan that when we move into it. Just as Catherine said, we're really grateful and lucky to be joined by our group CEO, John Bogue, who will be taking us through an introduction to who we are at Avincis. We're also really proud and lucky to be joined by some amazing women. So Kaja, Cecilia and Christina, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I'm sure everyone is equally as excited as I am to be hearing your personal and professional journeys. So can't wait to get to that point. We're also joined by our incredible HR colleagues. So Elena will shortly be taking us through some of the existing opportunities at Avincis, taking us through some final thoughts and then wrapping up with the Q&A. So please, if you've got any questions, pop them in the Teams chat functionality and we'll answer them when we get to that point. So I can see a couple of you have already joined the Mentimeter, so please do scan the QR code. We're just going to start with a little check-in with ourselves. So I think that might be showing up a little strange. Nothing like a little bit of IT, but that is no problem. This is why we have backups. So hopefully that's sharing a bit better for you all. So we're very conscious it is a Monday. A lot of people here might have just finished a long day of work or just a long day in general. Some people might even be starting the long day shortly. So a quick check-in with our all, see how we're feeling, ready for the webinar ahead. So it's great to see some words like excited, happy, keen, empowered, woo, I love the energy. A little tired, yeah, I think we're all feeling that for a Monday. Hopefully the webinar brings us a bit of energy and sparks that. We feel a little bit more energized as we go through. I think there's a couple more people still joining, still putting in how you're feeling. Oh, it's great to see everyone feeling happy, excited. Curious. Yeah, no, I love that one. I'm feeling it curious as well to see exactly where we go with this. So 31 responses, I think that is most people. So we will move now to the next question. So prior to this webinar, had you ever heard of Avincis? If you are an employee of Avincis, then yes, you've got a bit of a head start. So we're seeing a few yeses, a few nos. Ooh, okay, more yeses. Anyone else to pop in, we think? Someone's put in the chat, no. I appreciate the honesty. Oh, great, okay, so we've got a close split, almost 50-50. So thank you for your honesty, that's always good to see. And then our last little quiz question, have you ever considered a career in emergency aerial services? Yes, yes. Ooh, a few yeses coming in. Oh, it's really exciting. You're in a great place to be. A few no's, so that's also really interesting to see. Hopefully we'll change some minds as we go through the webinar. So more yeses than no's, that's fantastic to see. Perfect. Well, there we are. Well, thank you all for taking part in our little quiz. Hopefully that's made you feel a little bit more energized for the people that were feeling a little bit tired earlier on. So we'll move back to the presentation now. And I'm really excited to welcome our group CEO, John Bogue, to take us through a bit of an introduction of who we are as Avincis.
Thanks, Geordie. Seems a bit strange for a man to be doing an introduction in this webinar, really, doesn't it? But I wanted to introduce Avincis and support Catherine and elevate her, which we think is a really awesome organisation, and one we're very, very passionate about supporting because we think it's really, really important for our industry. Avincis is Europe's largest emergency aviation services company, and we primarily conduct emergency medical services, firefighting, search and rescue operations, which is a pretty cool business to be in. We operate 220 aircraft, 180 of them helicopters, 40 fixed wing. We have around 2,400 personnel throughout 8 countries in Europe, Africa and South America. We focus on delivering essential services to governments, health organisations, other public entities that really require our specialist aviation services. And we operate in one of the most challenging, well, some of the most challenging environments on the planet. So super high in the mountains, super cold in the Nordics, super hot in southern Italy and Spain. So it's a pretty demanding business that we're in. We thrive on the principles of inclusivity, innovation, encouraging diverse range of perspectives, drive us forward in a highly dynamic industry. We're committed to fostering an environment where everyone feels respected and valued, empowered, regardless of your background or experience. This is really important to us, and we're one of the very few companies that has values that I think the company truly believes in, so does the senior management. We recognise that a more inclusive team brings a broader array of ideas, which fuels creativity and brings a better understanding of the communities we serve. By welcoming diverse voices, we not only improve our workplace culture, but we also reinforce our commitment to excellence. Despite our progress, we acknowledge that gender diversity in aviation, particularly the rotary discipline, which I've been in for 40 years, I'm older than I look, especially underrepresentation of women remains an area where we must improve. The industry has traditionally been male dominated, and we are actively working to change this, something we work hard on every day. Our aim is to cultivate a more balanced workforce by continuing our focus on ensuring an inclusive environment for both men, women, really anyone who wants to be part of Avincis. We have targeted recruitment initiatives. We're supporting women who may require different working arrangements or other needs. And we're offering mentorship programs for female employees where they want it. By addressing these challenges and increasing female representation, we are paving a way for a more inclusive future in aviation, where every individual has an equal opportunity to contribute and succeed, and we all benefit from a diverse workplace. We are really proud to support Catherine and elevate her. Aviation is a wonderful industry, one that gets in your blood and that everyone should enjoy, regardless of where you are or where you're from. So I think that's enough from me, and I think we should get on with the show. How does that sound?
Sounds fantastic. No, thank you so much for joining us, John. And it is really, really powerful to see and hear your support. So thank you so much. So as John has just said, the show must go on. So I would love to introduce our first speaker of the event, Kasia.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Jordan.
Go, Kasia.
So my name is Kaja Devold. I'm 43 years old, and I'm a pilot in Avincis Air Ambulance Department in Norway. I live in Ålesund with my husband and our 3 children who are 6, 9, and 11 years old, 2 boys and 1 girl. As a person, I'm flexible, I'm open for changing plans, I'm independent, I have standards that I follow, and I'm easygoing. So I'm able to put mistakes behind me and keep focus. So how did I get into this? So at 19 years old, I went backpacking and I saw a rescue helicopter saving someone at sea in Australia. This was very inspiring, and I joined the Air Force in Norway to become part of the rescue team. During military training, I did things that I would not think I could do if I had known in advance what we were going to do. So I gained a lot of confidence, and I saw that I could perform at the same level as men over time. I also got to know some fighter pilots and learned that they were only humans. So on a flight with KLM Cityhopper, I had an epiphany that I was to become a pilot. I had dreamed of it, but I needed to go to the Air Force to believe that I could do it. To learn that the sky is the limit mentality. So at the age of 23, after a couple of years fumbling at the university, I was ready to become a pilot. I got in touch with a flight school in Oslo who had an exchange program with Phoenix East Aviation in Florida. I did some tests and then called my parents to see if they would give me security for a loan to finance the training. Luckily, they said yes, and I was on my way. One granddad was concerned about combining having a family with being a pilot. But at the time, I was very single and I wasn't sure family life was for me. So I got a 2-year visa in the States. I did my training for approximately 1 year and worked as a flight instructor at the school for the remaining visa time to build the hours. When my time was up, I returned to Norway and converted my papers to European licenses. I was very lucky to be recommended by the examiner for a job in Bergen to fly the King Air 200. About a month after my examination, I was on my way to London for a typewriting course. This was not a great job. It didn't pay very well and took most of my time, but it qualified me for the air ambulance, so I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Then in 2010, I met my husband, and in late 2011, I got this job. We moved to Kirkenes, where I got based. Kirkenes, that's a small city far north in Norway, close to the Russian border. We lived there for 6 years and gave birth to 2 of our children there. When our eldest son was about to start school, I was pregnant with our 3rd child, so we moved closer to our family in Ålesund in 2018. I got stationed here in late 2019, and we now live 20 minutes drive from the base. I have been offered an upgrade to captain some years ago, but then I would have to commute or move the family again. So for now, I choose to decline. We have a very flat structure on the flight deck. We fly every other leg. So I would mostly gain money and lose family time. All the co-pilots at my base are old or experienced, so I'm not alone in making this choice of life. My granddad was right to be concerned about combining family and piloting, but I think this job is as good as it gets if you live where you are based. Then you come home every day, even on work weeks. In our family, we both work shift. So my husband is on a 2-week on, 4-week off rotation. So when we're both working, I trade to the night shift and the children's aunt move in with us. We are lucky to have family who can help out. We compensate her for her time, and it should be possible to get someone outside the family too. Hopefully next year, the kids are old enough to be on their own for a few hours, and I can work the day shift when my husband is away for work. But this year, we had 5 weeks of us both working at the same time, so it's not too bad. As you see from this picture, I really love this job. It's very complex, challenging, and rewarding. We work with different professionals and operate in beautiful scenery. We never know what the shift will bring. Plans and weather change along the way. We operate both into congested airports and short, narrow runways in mountainous terrain. The King Air is fun to fly. It's a very powerful and flexible machine. And we get to help people who is in a vulnerable state. So the work is that we transport patients between hospitals, either to or from planned surgery or more sudden and time-critical missions. Norway is a sparsely populated country with great distances between specialized healthcare. The base has about 1,400 missions per year total, and each crew fly between 300 and 400 hours per year. We have many short legs from 8 minutes to 1 hour on average. We work 12-hour shifts, either day shift or night shift for 7 days. Then we have 7 days off, 7 days on, and then 14 days off. So a total of 20 to 22 weeks per year. We get the schedule for the following year in October, so there are plenty of time to plan and prepare. At the base, we are 5 captains and 5 co-pilots. We work with the same partner all week, and so we get to know each other pretty well. We have 3 technicians that rotate and are on call 24 hours. We have 8 flight nurses who rotate, so during the work week, we will work with 2 different nurses in the crew. To do this job, I need acceptable weather, a serviceable aircraft, a good team of colleagues, iPad charts, uniform, fuel, and a patient in need of transport. My strength in this role is that I am solution-oriented, positive, flying skilled, open for improvements, even on myself, focused on being present in the moment and take one thing at a time. The last few years, I've taken more care of myself with regards to sleep, exercise, food, and tracking my period. This makes it easier to give myself some slack when I need it and respect my body's need to relax and recuperate. Understanding that it could be my hormones that are giving me this temper and not the person next to me has made my life easier. I'm proud of coming to aid in a situation, being ready on time of need, and finding solutions that help patients. As a female pilot, I experience that people approach me and find me easy to talk to. This is of high value to the crew. It's essential for us women to feel confident and free to deliver at work. We have an individual duty and function. Remember that you have earned your seat, so fill it. Plan what you think is best and brief your colleague on what you intend to do. And freedom starts inside yourself, and hopefully the culture of the workplace supports you. Thanks.
That was fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing and sharing that vulnerable moment as well. I think that's an incredibly important thing, to check in with ourselves and see how we are feeling and how we can show up to be our best every day, and whether that's getting more sleep or tracking your period and not getting angry at the person next to you. I know you shared with us a video as well of what some of your days look like. So I just wanted to make sure that we all got an opportunity to watch that. I'm very jealous. That's what your day-to-day looks like. That is beautiful. So thank you so much again. And I would love to pass over to Cecilia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cecilia. I am an aircraft engineer and hoist operator on rescue helicopters for Avincis in Italy. I understand this is not such a well-known job, so I'll try and give you more detail later. But before that, I'd like to tell you about how I ended up where I stand now. And so, first of all, I have to say I'm not one of your typical aviation enthusiasts. And I've never been one of those kids who know exactly what they want to do as grown-ups. In fact, it was only during my time at university that I got an idea of what this industry was like and what kind of jobs it could offer. And before that, I only knew I didn't want to end up sitting behind a computer screen, so I had nearly no ideas. But once I realized aircraft maintenance was the job for me, I set my mind to it and never gave up. So just to clarify this first point, if you want to work on aircraft as maintenance engineer, you'll need an AML, an aircraft maintenance license, which is issued by your country's aviation authority. And to get it, you'll need a theoretical training called basic knowledge, and then a number of years of on-the-job training. And my aerospace engineering granted me the basic knowledge certificate, but it's most commonly issued by specialized schools. So you don't need to undertake university education if you don't want to. Yeah, and you get to do what I do all the same. But to get back to my own experience, of course, there have been challenges and some hard times. Especially after the graduation, when I started job hunting, I got some difficulties. In fact, I think this first step into the industry was the most difficult for me. And I lost count of how many phone calls and how many interviews I had. And almost every company I got in touch with answered something like, we have no vacancies for the job you're applying for, or could you be interested in an office position, or stuff like that. That actually sounded to me as, are you sure you want a man's job? That was the point, in fact. But luckily, at some point, I got the chance to talk to an open-minded maintenance manager who looked past me being a young girl. And so finally, he was just saying, okay, send your resume and copy me in. That was all, actually, nothing special, but the spontaneousness of his answer and the lack of surprise about me wanting to work on the aircraft made me think that maybe that was finally the opportunity I was looking for. So after all, he was just giving me the same chances others had, and that was more than enough for me. So long story short, I've been hired at the end of 2014, and now nearly 10 years later, I'm here with a job I love in a very rewarding and demanding field. So on this second slide, we'll get on with the cool stuff. I work in a HEMS operating base at the moment, but before this, from 2014 to 2021, I've been a base maintenance technician in the company's main facility. And there I've been carrying out deep maintenance tasks like disassembling and inspecting parts and components, performing functional and operational tests, and then reassembling the helicopter and completing checks both on ground and in flight to release the aircraft to service. I like very much maintenance work for the problem solving it requires and the troubleshooting you get to carry out. And in addition to this, it's also a job that keeps you learning new things through many courses, such as type training on specific helicopters, like the one I attended in 2017 on the AW139. And that's great for people like me, as I ever always wanted to understand and love to understand how things work, from the everyday objects and tools to more complex machines. And I think this love of mine for understanding was what actually made me suitable for this job. And I think delivering efficient aircraft, knowing that what you do and especially the way you do it contributes to other people's safety, I think it's the most rewarding feeling you can get in this job. After 5 years working in the hangar, I got my B13 license, and then after a while, I moved to an external base where I am now and where I have a double function. One is the line maintenance engineer role, by which I'm required to carry out all the line maintenance and to correct failures that can occur at any moment on an operating helicopter. The other one is taking part in rescue and medical emergency missions as a technical crew member. For example, on a normal working day, I get to the base in the morning, carry out the aircraft's daily inspection, and have an operations briefing with the personnel on duty. After that, we get ready for any kind of mission, depending on the weather, the time of the year, and so on. And then we wait to be called out for an emergency. So when we do actually get called out, so during the operations, my duties are multiple and diverse. For example, during landings in unknown locations, I help the pilot detecting hazards such as power lines or any kind of obstacle or object on ground that may interfere with the aircraft or be dangerous to people or property on ground. So I get to do that by opening the cabin door and leaning outside in order to have a clearer view of the ground beneath us and give directions to the pilots in the final landing phase. I also assist during the startup procedures by standing outside the aircraft as the engines are starting and rotors engage and begin to spin. And then when we are ready for takeoff, I get on board and make sure everyone has their seatbelt fastened, the helmets on, and it's ready for departure. So when you watch those videos online in which someone is apparently just hanging out around the starting helicopters, it's actually one of us engineers doing our job. And last but not least, we finally get to the most complex and most, let me say, show-offish part of my job, which is the special operations. What do we mean by that? We mean the embarkation and disembarkation of people to and from the helicopter, both in flight by means of the rescue hoist or in contact with the ground, but not completely, like when it's balancing light on one wheel only. In this kind of scenarios, it's crucial to work as a team, as pilot and technician coordinate to fly safely to the target and to lower the medical and rescue staff using the hoist. To do so, the operator, looking down from the cabin door, as I said before, leads the pilot to the exact point where the rescue operators are needed and then brings them to the ground. Now, if I had to recap all this, I'd say this kind of job offers, as well as many challenges, also many things to be proud of. Of course, The first one that comes to anyone's mind is obviously the chance to help people in danger or in need of any kind of care. Personally, however, my biggest ambition is earning and deserving other people's trust. And by this, I mean both the trust in the fact that I'm good at my job and in the fact that I can keep them safe while they do theirs. So I'm no source of inspiration, I'm afraid. However, I hope some of you are willing to know more about all this and maybe ask some questions. Thanks a lot to every single one of you for your attention, and stay safe out there.
Thank you so much, Cecilia, and you are absolutely a source of inspiration. Talking about how you just casually hang out the side of a helicopter, that's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing with us, and I know that you've also got a couple of videos to share with us, so we'll make sure that we get those rolling.
I don't know if you can hear me now, but just to point out, I'm the one in the white helmet. I'm not the one who gets dropped down.
They are amazing. Thank you so much. A couple of us were discussing earlier that I think we could watch videos like that for hours. So thank you for giving us just that even brief little insight into your day-to-day. So that brings us into our final presenter of the day, Christina.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity, this wonderful opportunity. And my name is Cristina Specia. I'm 35 years old and I'm living in Rome with my husband. In this period, we are so excited about the arrival of our first baby in a few weeks. And about my career, since I was a child, I have been fascinated by these big yellow plains in Liguria, where I went on holiday with my parents, who took water from the sea. When I asked my mother what they were, she explained to me that they were firefighting planes and their objective was to put out the fire on the forest and safeguard both flora and fauna. I started my studies to become a pilot in the Turin Flying School, my hometown in north of Italy. And I completed all my training in Rome. I became an aeroplane pilot and flight instructor. and then also in Rome became a helicopter pilot. My work in Avincis, I can say that I started working as a firefight pilot in 2016 with the co-pilot's rule. I do this job out of passion. Canadair is an amphibious aircraft, so it can land both on water and on land. My roster, depending on the season, summer or winter. In the summer, I work 5 days on and 2 days off. In the winter, I work 6 on and 4 off. Our duty time can be maximum of 12 hours in a day, and the flight time can be maximum 6 hours in a day. My home base is in Rome, but in the summer we have other 6 bases in Italy: Genova, Rome, Lamezia Terme, Napoli, Trapani, and Olbia. In the winter we have 3 bases: Genova, Roma, Lamezia Terme. The firefighting service starts in the morning, about 30 minutes before the sunrise, and ends at the sunset. So we have 2 shifts, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. Sometimes it may happen that we are called late for a flight order in the afternoon, so we return to our base in the night. My job consists of helping the commander in all phases of flight, from takeoff to landing to firefight operations. We must pay attention to different scenarios, continuously evolving meteorological situation, and low altitude flying. As a firefight co-pilot, my big challenge is to always be prepared and qualified for all types of flight, that to reach from firefighting operation to transfer for different bases. In the cockpit, it is essential to be proactive, and it is necessary to create coordination and integration with my colleague. And in the aircraft management, thus being able to always remain focused on our main target, being safe in putting out the fire. In my work, is essential to be able to identify and any critical situation and try to avoid them. In the unfortunate event of critical situation, it is essential to know what is happening and resolve it, avoid that it becoming into unrecoverable situation. Are fundamental, learn to listen to your colleague, share any doubts with him, and be critical of decision made. All this is only possible with a constant training that improve all operational capabilities. Our personal experiences are very important, as they allowed us to reduce operational stress and recognize in advance how scenarios may evolve. Fortunately, Avincis provide us with the only Canadair's simulators in the world based in Milano Malpensa, as well as crew research management courses, which lead us to improve both technical and personal aspects. As in all professions, there are obstacles to overcome and sacrifices to be made. For example, me, I left my family, but thanks to this job, I met my husband, I created my own family, and I become a mother. Thank you.
That's amazing. Thank you all for the story and telling us your experience from a female perspective point of view, but first of all, from a professional point of view. So thank you very much for that. I think all of us appreciate it a lot, even us that are your colleagues. It's always very interesting to know more about your daily work. So thanks again. Now I kindly ask you to scan again the QR code. We're going to present you a question we have made you at the beginning of this session. So let's see what you're saying now. So the question was at the beginning, how many of you have considered a career in emergency aerial services before to listen about us? And now we are proposing exactly the same question, but the yes are the totality. So 100% of you are now thinking about to start a career in this very, very exciting world. So I think that our three colleagues inspired you. So this is very, very amazing. So given that you are now more conscious about our business and our operation, and you are interested to start a career in this environment, please take an eye in our vacancies. We have more and more becoming, because our business is growing, is changing. So what we are presenting now can increase, can be different in the next weeks and months. So always take a look in our LinkedIn page, but also in Elevate website. There are our vacancies, so you can reach us in different way. Don't hesitate to send your profile to our recruiting email addresses, even asking for any question, any clarification you need to be sure about what is the path you have to do to become an emergency pilot engineer. So we are always available for you. So these are some of the vacancies we have now. So we are looking for base and line technician. We both look for certified one, but also maintenance assistant. So for the certified one, we are looking for B13 certification. Working in the maintenance, the base maintenance, the local language is not a requirement, but it is when we go into line maintenance. So maybe there are more opportunity if you are not a local language speaker in base maintenance. And we are always looking for aeronautical engineers, because maintenance and flight are not the only opportunity we offer. We offer many interesting positions in other functions, such as safety, that is very core for us, quality and camo, designing completion, Part 145. So there are many opportunities. Don't hesitate to send to us your profile. The same as copilot. We are looking for a copilot in all our region. Each contract we have with our customer has different requirement. So we are going to share with you after this presentation all the details in terms of requirement, so you can check more deeply what we are looking for. In any case, don't hesitate to contact us. We are more than happy to interact with you and look at your profile. Also, don't miss the opportunity to meet us next week. Next week, we will be at the European Rotors in Amsterdam. We are collaborating with Elevate again, also in this occasion. So come to visit us at the booth 1068. You will find many representatives of Avincis, so you will find people from different departments but also HR representatives. So you will have the opportunity to meet us in person, and why not give your resume directly to us. So we will take back to our recruiting team. And as last things, we kindly ask you to scan this new QR code. We are asking to you very few questions about this webinar. We'd like to know from you what you have liked, what you would like to hear in a new webinar, so we can address your curiosity, your question in next event. That will be great for us to understand what you would like to hear from us. So just scan the QR code and you can answer even later. It will take you just a couple of minutes. Oh, thanks, and Jordan, to you.
Thank you so much, and thank you to, again, everyone for joining, our incredible presenters. It's been a really, really insightful session. I know I work at Avincis, but it's still been incredibly insightful to see what our people just do on a daily basis and what it takes to be able to be in those incredible positions. So thank you so much. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now. I think we've had a couple of questions come in the chat function. Please do, if you do have any more questions, feel free to raise your hand and come off mute to ask anything, or we will have a little look through what has already been asked. So Sarah, thank you for your question. You said, do you offer any special entry routes for women in aviation? John, Mr. Bogue, kindly mentioned the focus on inclusive environments, targeting females, mentorship programs, which is amazing. So I think if I could direct that question either to Elena, if you want to pick it up, if there's any specific entry routes for women that we have.
Yeah, sure. As John mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, we always try to help and support any diversity in our company. So it's not just about males and females. So we take care about the diversity in the company, trying to facilitate the different paths. This is taking an eye on the office time, for example, or the special need that everyone has. I think that Christina is a very good example about how we are supporting her during this period. And of course, we have senior female in our company with a very big experience, and they are the one we try to help the new joiners in terms of mentoring and supporting, and why not even coaching when it's needed. So yeah, we take an eye.
Can I just mention as well that there are several helicopter specific scholarships from the Whirly Girls, which is an American entity, and also Vertical Aviation, which used to be it's called Verticon now. It used to be Helicopter Association International, and they actually have applications for scholarships out at the moment. So I'd suggest, I was just looking for their website, we'll find it for you and we'll put it out for you, but they also have scholarships for training for pilots and technicians and safety, whatever you really want to do in the helicopter industry. And I'd highly recommend you look at that as well, because it's a really good way to get in. But I'm happy for you guys to share my email address if I can help you any further with your queries.
That's amazing. Yeah, thank you so much, John, and thank you for highlighting those opportunities as well, and Elena for also providing the additional insight to what we do here in Avincis. So thank you. We've had a question from the Elevate Her team. So what advice would you give to your younger self? So if our three presenters can think of an answer, if we go to Kaya first, if that's okay?
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I'm not sure really, just that things are probably going to work out. Just be patient and do your best. Yeah, just be kind to yourself.
Amazing, thank you. Cecilia?
I actually don't know because it has been a hard path, but I think I did all that was in my power to do. So yeah, I don't know, maybe just hang in there, and if you're sure that's your way, then have it. Don't let others distract you from what you really want.
Amazing. Christina?
I would first off, I want to become a firefighting pilot. I would first of all say to have a lot of passion, study both theory and practice, observe more experienced colleagues, and not stop at the first difficulties. It's a long career. It takes several years before you understand your job well, because you are always faced with new and different situations. Because if in high school we were taught to fly high and fast, here we fly low and slow. Obviously, it is important to know the company standard that are imposed for our safety, and you need to create synergy in the cockpit to give your best.
Amazing, thank you. Great advice from all three of you. Thank you so much. I do want to check, Henrietta, I think you had your hand up. I don't know if that was for a question.
Hi, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I was going to aim at Cecilia to just ask, I've been in industry a fair amount of time. I have never, ever come across a female engineer within HEMS in the UK, let alone a TCM operating here. And I was just wondering, is she one in a million? Clearly she is, but are there more in industry within Italy, or is it just like here and actually she's just is the one in a million person who's managed to get herself to that position?
We actually have a bunch of lady technicians in our business through every region, and I know certainly in Australia I've worked with a lot as well. So they are in percentage ratios they're very, very small, but there's lots of people out there, and we just got to get more in here, right? There's absolutely nothing. There's nothing stopping females from joining the industry at all. People are encouraging it wherever we can.
Great, thank you.
Is there anything additional you want to add to that, Cecilia?
No, John said it, and actually there's two of us now in Italy, and I think I hope in a short-term time there will be a third one doing the hoist operations. Engineers and technicians are a little bit more. There's not much of them, but we are proceeding to to infiltrate this world. And yeah, I think from 10 years ago up to now, it has really changed. So for the better, yeah.
Amazing. It's great to hear, thank you. I'm aware we've got great questions coming in quite thick and fast. We've only got 5 minutes left, so we'll see if we can get through a couple more before we round up. So Raya, thank you. You've asked, does search and rescue do missions over land only or land and sea? What is the jurisdiction difference there with Avincis versus Coast Guard? So I think she's directed that to Kaya.
Yeah, with the air ambulance, we don't do search and rescue. We just do transport of patients.
So I think the question's more broadly across search and rescue in terms of how we operate as Avincis. John, am I right to direct that question to yourself?
We conduct both search and rescue and HEMS. In Europe, HEMS is predominantly flying from location to location to pick people up. Could be a primary site, which is an accident or where the person's been injured, or a secondary where it's hospital to hospital. Search and rescue is normally a discipline that is focused offshore or over water in Europe. However, in Italy, HEMS and SAR fall very, very closely together because they do both. So what Cecilia is doing in Italy, other places would call SAR. So it really depends on where you work. So they are very, very closely aligned, if that makes sense. But predominantly HEMS is over land specifically.
That's great. Thank you, John. Thank you for the clarification. We've got another question in from Raya. So, Christina, how do you train for firefighting scenarios?
Yes, in addition to classic pilot skills, for example, I had to learn to take off and land on water with my plan, to take water from the lake or the sea and put it on the fire. I learned to understand the state of sea and to know where the wind is coming from. And this training, when I start to work as a firefight pilot.
Amazing. Thank you, Christina. So we've got 2 minutes left, so this is probably the last question, so apologies, but I think Catherine and Elevate here, you collate all the questions that come in and we look to answer those post-event as well. So please continue to ask in your questions and we'll try and answer those following the event. So if we go to the last question, I can see that Elena, you've got your hand up.
Yes, hello, hi there. My name is Elena. I'm London-based, kind of London-based, but I'm originally from Latvia. Listening to these stories, and thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for inspiration. And I'm still learning. I'm not there yet. I'm probably potentially hoping that maybe change of a career in the future, TBC here. But my question is for all of you, to be honest, in these very crazy scenarios, mostly, you are always required to act on an emergency basis. How do you make sure, we as emotional beings, how do you make sure that your hands don't shake at that point when you are actually on time helping, most likely, to save someone's life? And thank you.
This is a very great one, I think, and probably my colleagues will answer much better. Just from a company point of view, we provide psychological support when required, and also we have the peer support. So we have employee in the company trained to support our people. They can be people working in the operation, but even in the offices, because when something is in your life, you never know how this can impact in your work and vice versa. So we have a net to support this. We have psychological professional that work with us. We have the European Institute of Psychotrauma, for example, that support us even when incident or near misses happens, so we can support our crew in a difficult moment. So I think this is what the company provide to our people, but Cecilia, Cristina, and Kaja, your personal experience on that, if you want to share.
Yeah, sure. I can share, because we do a lot of simulator training every 6 months, and then we get to practice emergencies many times. So the worst scenario in our case is that we lose an engine just after we rotate. So we practice many times. So it's and also you need to compartmentalize, and you have the checklist, and you need to focus. So I would say we train for it. And of course, when it happens, I have had a few situations, but sort of the training kicked in, we focused, we used the procedures and the checklist, and then when it was over, we asked if we needed to talk about it, or yeah, we just moved on, basically.
Thanks, Kaya. Cecilia, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you were referring to the operation, so the emergencies for the people we are going to help, if I'm not mistaken. So for us is just work. So the procedures, the training, and then the repetition of many of these kind of missions, I think it takes away the big part of the emotional impact. Of course, sometimes you get to see some really, I don't know, dramatic situation, but in the moment you have to stay cool, and we have all the procedures and the training to do that. And then it never occurred to me, luckily, but then if afterwards you need the support, as Elena was saying, there are the psychological support nets, and in the moment I don't find it such a big deal, but I think it's just you get used to it.
Great, thank you, Cecilia. Christina?
I'm agree with Kaya. We have a lot of training and simulation for the normal situation, the emergency, and the abnormal. We have a lot of repetition, and behind every mission there is a lot of work and training.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the question, Alina. So I'm terribly sorry. I know we've overrun us, but I think we can all agree that this has been an incredible session. Thank you so much to Kaya, Cecilia, Christina for your vulnerability, your honesty. I think we've all found it truly inspiring. So thank you all so much. Catherine, I'll hand back to yourself.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, just thank you so much to all of you. What an inspiring evening. All of you are just absolute icons, honestly. I've been blown away listening to your stories and just hearing you talk so openly and honestly, as well as women, and things you encounter as well as women working in the industry. Honestly is very much life-changing to all of us listening to it. So thank you so much for speaking to us this evening and for sharing your story. So anyone who had a question, who obviously we overran slightly, please do send it either to the Elevator email address or just pop it in the chat, and I will send any extras over. But thank you so much to all of you for attending tonight. And honestly, I think this has been the most incredible webinar. So thank you again to the whole Avincis team for supporting Elevate Her. You really are so important to us, but also the work you do is incredibly important, all over the world. So again, thank you. And yeah, have a lovely evening, everyone. Hopefully we'll do this again